A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286. A minute late because of a phone call, but there you go. We are here on another gloomy grey evening, but it has been dry all day, so we have no complaints. It's been an absolutely spiffing day here, for us anyway. It is currently 14 degrees Celsius, and I've mentioned 100% cloud cover. 8 to 10 knots from the northwest. It's backed a little bit, and the barometer is still going down. 1010.8. It's down 5 from this morning. That's quite a big jump, isn't it? So I'm surprised that we haven't got any inclement weather yet, but it is coming. So there you go. There's not much way in the news tonight, except for the fact that Patricia and David have a new car, which we have just got home. So it's a little bit rushed tonight, but David has been looking at weather, so fear not. And we have a bit of movement for the boats, so that is excellent. And I'm going to start with Bedouin, Gulf Harbour Radio.
Gulf Harbour Radio, Bedouin, how copy?
Yeah, very good copy on Bedouin, so that's good. It wasn't very good conditions this morning on our ham net, Chris, but it's pretty good tonight. So go ahead, over.
Excellent. Okay, our position is 1332 south, 1620 west. We're doing about 5.1 knots. Course over the ground is 287. Wind is easterly at around 17. Swell is about 2 miles per we've got about 10% cloud cover and 65 nautical miles to go to tomorrow.
Yes, we saw you were pretty close. Just confirm that it is 1-3 wind. The wind is 1-3 from the east because there was a static crash, and a 2.5 metre swell. And your cloud cover, please.
Cloud cover, 10% cover.
Yep. Okay, got everything. A bit of a rush here. Sorry about that. So Bedouin on their way to Saguaro, 1332 south, 16201 west. Moving along nicely, 5.1 on a course of 287 direct, 13 knots from the east, and a 2.5 metre swell. So just as well it's pushing you along. 10% cloud cover and only 65 nautical miles. So I presume you'll be taking it nice and easily for a daylight arrival. Over.
Yeah, that's a Roger. We've been actually taking it easy. The last 3 days slowed down from 15 AM.
Yep. Okay. Hang on.
So we had a few squalls this morning, but it cleared up beautifully at about 10 o'clock, and fantastic sunset, Noah.
Oh, any squalls cleared at 10.
A few squalls there, yeah. Well, to be expected, really. So you'll be there tomorrow, and I'm looking at the various models, as I'm sure you have as well. And trying to average them out, it looks like easterlies similar to what you've got today. 15, 16 knots gusting, maybe up to 22, 23 knots. And according to the sea forecast, about 2.2 meters out of the east-southeast. And looking at Thursday at Saguaro, looking like east 16, 17, gusts up to about 22, 23. And I don't see much in the way of precipitation, although there could be the odd squall from passing cumulo congestus or whatever, a big cloud, in other words. But anyway, it looks like it's going to be mighty fine for you there. Over.
Thank you, David. Well, that's good coffee, and they're all standing by.
Okay. Yeah, nice. It's nice coming across to somewhere like that when the conditions are all decent. All right. Well, ahead of you is Ikaros, Gulf Harbour Radio.
Good evening, Gulf Harbour Radio. This is Ikaros. How copy?
Booming in as usual, Bob. Go ahead.
Current position 1339 south. 16926 west. Speed over the ground 7.3, heading 260 degrees true, wind 20 knots out of the east, slow 2 meters from the east, 10 to 15% cloud cover, 135 miles to go, Samoa. Over.
Wow, you're smelling the barn too, and very similar conditions to Bedouin on the same latitude there. 1339 south, 16926 west, 7.3, wow, 260 true, so great speed. No need for you to slow it down. 20 knots from the east, 2 metre easterly swell, 10 to 15% cloud cover, and a nice daylight arrival, 135 miles to up here. Here's David.
Well, that's great. It looks like you'll be in tomorrow, as Patricia said, so that's fantastic news. And looking at the progs for the weather, tomorrow, arriving late afternoon, I would guess, easterlies about 12, maybe 14 knots. And looking at Thursday in the same place, Samoa, looks like a little bit more wind out of the east, about 14 to 16, not too much at all. Interestingly, the models are disagreeing on Thursday. The east 14 to 16 is coming from GFS, but EC is backing the winds a wee bit, and they're looking at northeast about 12 with gusts to 20. So on Thursday, we'll have to see which one is correct. But anyway, it looks like not much in the way of precipitation, so looks like they'll be having a very good time there. So with that, I'll pass it back to the chief.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit hairy waiting at the official place for customs there. It might have changed, but you and Sonrisa will need to try and get cleared as quickly as you can. Not that you'll have an awful lot of control over that, but then you can get to a good secure place for the stronger winds. So arrival tomorrow sounds good, Bob. Over.
Yeah, that all sounds like it'll work out quite well. Thank you very much, and thank you again for all.
Okay, well, enjoy Samoa. So we'll clear with you and Bev and go to Sonrisa. Sonrisa.
Golf Harbour Radio, this is Sonrisa. Sonrisa, how copy?
I copy you very well, and yes, you're just a bit further ahead, but you might get met by Ikaros at the pass, so go ahead. What's your position and conditions? I presume conditions are much the same. Over.
Yes, our conditions are pretty much exactly the same. They left the day after us, so they're really hooking it. They're going to catch us. I think it's 13 degrees, 36 minutes south, 169 degrees, 52 minutes west. Our speed is 2.5 knots. Our course 265 degrees true.
Okay, all copied that. And by the way, we on a handicap, you know, they do have 2 holes, so they get a fairly significant handicap. 1336 south, 16952 west, and 6.5 knots on a course of 265. So a nice last night for a while, and enjoy Samoa. Over.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've been flying today. We did hit 12 knots, I think, which is the fastest we've ever gone. Maybe one of these waves. So, yeah, we're going to get in tomorrow. 2 nautical miles to go.
Yep, looks real good. So yeah, it is nice when things work out for a daylight arrival. What nationality is your first name? This cat's on, over.
Justin is an English name, but we are Australian.
Yeah, I can tell you're Australian. It just doesn't sound like an Australian name, over.
Yeah, I think it's English in my dad's side. I think it's both on the dad's side.
Well, it's good to have something different anyway. Okay, and talking about different nationalities, the big game is on tonight for the Swede ladies football team. So that's going to be pretty exciting against Spain. Okay, clear with you, and now to go to the more complicated boat. Colfie, good evening, Peter.
Coffee really loud and clear. Coffee complicated. Over.
Yeah, not you personally, but your direction. Go ahead, over.
Okay, we are currently at 27 degrees 21 minutes south, 168 degrees 26 minutes east, and we are heading off 135 magnetic. Hang on a second, I'll just go check out the alarm. Just autopilot flying games. Okay, and speed is 6.5 knots.
Yes. And your estimate of wind and swell and cloud cover, over.
We've got about 15% cloud cover, and the swell is 1.5 meters, coming from the west, southwest, northwest, and I think we've got about 14 knots coming from the west. Over.
Okay, this is Colfie position coming from Noumea to New Zealand, 2721 south, 16826 east, on a course at the moment of 135 magnetic, 6.5 knots, 15% cloud cover, and 1.5 metres swell from the west-northwest. That's good, pushing you along a bit, and 14 knots from the west. So another good day of sailing, over.
Yeah, that's great. It's been really nice. We did have an unpredicted wind change of about 180 degrees this morning, which had us chasing the wind with a pole around the mast, which turned out to be a total futile exercise when it went back to the west. Over.
Yeah, well, don't you love it like that? We always try and remember Peter Blake's, don't do anything until you've had a cup of tea recommendation. But I tell you what, when it's like that, especially with the pole clattering against the mast, you find it hard to just do that. But, yep. Yeah, I wonder what must have just been a bit of a CB or something. I don't know. Anyway. All right. So would you like to hear from David first, or tell us what your thoughts are for strategy, over?
Okay, my thoughts on the strategy are not to bother with Norfolk, particularly because of the unpredictability and the changes of the weather forecast. And I don't fancy, getting up in the middle of the night to move anchorages. So I'm going to carry on the run line, at least until 30 south, and if necessary, hove to at that point. The ETA at the moment in our progress is Sunday afternoon. So if we get lucky and the stick front doesn't materialise, we may be able to just carry on. And looking forward to hearing what David has to say. Over.
Yep, roger that. Yes, what he showed me this morning was not an arrival that I would have looked forward to, so I'll be interested to see what he's been looking at in the last couple of hours. Yeah, you're right about Norfolk. It is a painful place. passed it so many times, and finally we flew there and had a lovely week without worrying about the boat and flew home again. Anyway, here's David.
Yeah, we had a pistol competition there. It was quite interesting, being able to drive around in a car, looking at the various anchorages. I don't think there were any boats out there, but it was quite interesting. Anyway, listen, you've got a cold front that's emanating all the way from New Zealand, and it is arcing. It goes north a bit, then it goes to the northwest, and by tomorrow morning, the axis of it is going to be north of Norfolk. In fact, the axis is going to be pretty much where you are now. Looks like about 28 degrees and maybe 168. Pretty much where you are right now. So that front is going to be moving from basically south to north, and you're just going to go through it. And once you do go through it, then the winds are going to shift to basically the south. And the reason for that is the new high that's moving in. We talked about that yesterday, I think. And fortunately, the isobars are fairly well spread out so far. So the southerly winds are going to be around 15 knots, 15 knots. And that's going to be around, that'll include Norfolk as well. And I don't know, you'll be pretty close to Norfolk by tomorrow. And I'm going to give this back to Trish for a minute, and I'll give you what the Norfolk Met Service is going to say for a couple of days, which is always interesting. So hang on, and I'll be back.
Yeah, I was just looking at the traffic. You will probably be seeing a rather large bulk trader. It's a very long ship coming in against you, actually. So you will see it very shortly. It's currently at 2738 and 16847, called the Forest Trader. It's a Panama registration boat doing 10.6. So keep an eye out. Sounds like your conditions will be good for seeing things anyway, but that's about all I can see at the moment. Oh my goodness gracious, I've just noticed above you, you are back on AIS, Peter, so that's interesting. Gosh, you have a very contrary thing. This was 7 hours ago, mind you, but it is showing that you're still alive and out there. But yes, you've got this with this bulk trader coming very close to you. There is this main trunk line with these big vessels. They're actually in the frontal system at the moment. The ones further south, around 31 degrees, have got the 30 plus knots of wind. But just keep your eyes out, and I shall put it back to David.
Alrighty, Peter. I'll let you know now what the Met Service folk have got to say at Norfolk Island. And I'll tell you what tomorrow is going to be, according to them. Wind south 10 to 15 knots. The seas 1.5 to 2 meters. The swell about 2 meters coming out of the southwest. And morning showers they're predicting for tomorrow. And the temperatures, boy, oh boy, 12 degrees is the minimum.
That'll get the winter
That's about what we're getting here. And maximum 17. Thursday, partly cloudy, and they've got about a 20% chance of showers. And winds southerly, actually less than 10 knots in the morning, and then becoming variable around 10 knots, even less than 10 knots in the afternoon and the evening. The swell, south-southwest, 2 to 2.5 meters. And they go out to Saturday. So we'll do Friday. Friday, they're calling off mostly sunny, except cloudy in the evening with a 30% chance of showers in the late evening, and winds variable again around 10 knots, and then becoming northerly 10 to 15 knots in the evening. And the swell continues to be south to southwest about 2 to 2.5 meters. Then on Saturday, that's the 19th of August, partly cloudy and a 70% chance of showers in the evening. And winds northwest, 15 to 20, 15 to 20 knots. So that's what they think is going to happen at Norfolk. So if you missed anything, let me know and I'll repeat it. So back to you. Over.
No, I got all of that, and it further confirms that I don't want to go into that. Is it possible for you to discuss the potential for the 40-knot front that's going to be coming around Cape Leona on Saturday? Over.
Roger. Let's see now. We're looking at, hang on a minute, Peter.
Do you want me to say something?
Yeah, that's fine. That'll help.
Yeah, I was just looking now whilst you were talking at what happens over the next 12 to 15 hours. Looks like, with the wind slowly backing, it looks like it's not going to be on the nose and causing a pain in the neck until about 9 o'clock in the morning, according to GFS, if they are right. And we all know that EC has got the lead on them at the moment, but that's what they're looking at. So it looks like at least it will be daylight when you have to do a major sail change. But yeah, hopefully you'll get through the night just making the adjustments as it slowly backs on you. So yeah, this frontal system doesn't look very pleasant, so I shall put David on. Folk, we are looking for anybody listening. It is actually quite educational because this is not unusual for coming into New Zealand with this condition. So yeah, just have a listen.
All right, Peter, looking at the upper levels, which is where these are spawned. So looking at the 500 millibar, the trough, which is actually causing this particular depression and cold front, is moving a little bit slower than what we talked about yesterday and the day before. So that's a bit of good news. So looking at Saturday, remember we said Saturday, boy, you had to get in very early in the morning before you got involved in this nasty little cold front. Anyway, it's a little bit slower.
Up to lunchtime.
So it's going to be, first off, your winds between Norfolk and North Cape are going to be out of the north. And they're going to be probably, well, I'm not going to do the speed yet because that's a different part of my chart. I'm looking at the axis of the actual cold front itself. So Saturday, right up to looking at almost midnight on Saturday, there's going to be showers between Norfolk and North Cape. So, in other words, a fair amount of cloud activity and whatnot. The winds are going to remain out of the north, and the axis of the cold front is going to be, assuming you're near North Cape, which you probably will be since you're going to arrive on Sunday, the axis so far is going to be about maybe 100 to maybe 150 miles to the west of North Cape, so not quite there yet. So looking at Sunday at 6 in the morning, it is now pretty much over Cape Reinga. It's past Norfolk. In fact, if you draw a line from Cape Reinga, this is on a Mercator projection, you draw a line from Cape Reinga to Noumea, that is pretty much what that cold front is going to look like. That's the axis of it. And the clouds are going to be quite a bit further to either side of the axis, but the worst weather is going to be where the axis is. So 6 in the morning is when that axis looks like it's going to hit North Cape. And then by 8 in the morning on Sunday, the axis is going to be pretty much running north-south between 30 South and North Cape. It'll be just a little bit to the east of North Cape, not quite to Marsden. Winds are going to be still going to be out of the north at around 8 a.m. if this is accurate, but not so when we get to about lunchtime. Then it will shift. The winds are going to be basically southwest winds, and the ugly little depression is going to be pretty much over us here at Gulf Harbour and runs north to about 33 south, and then it arcs a bit to go north, I suppose, which you won't worry about. So I would say that you've got until early Sunday morning if you're able to do that, from what I could see. Now, I want to look at one other model and see what's going on there. Hang on. Yeah, that all the information that I've been giving you is taken from EC and the bomb modeling system. However, GFS is a little bit different, and they are looking at the axis hitting North Cape at about, passing North Cape on Sunday at lunch, and being, well, it broadens out. GFS has got a rather broad axis, if you will. The winds are still going to be northerly quadrant from late Saturday through virtually all of Sunday, and we'll take a look at what the gusts are going to be, Peter. I would say, according to GFS, we're looking at about 27 to 30 knots out of the north. EC, we're looking at gale force winds. We're looking at 34, 35 knots, and looking at bomb, well, they are messed up on what they're saying in terms of numbers, so I don't think I'm going to give you that because it doesn't make any sense. But it looks to me like gale force winds. So GFS has got the lighter winds, EC and bomb a little bit more. But anyway, at least it's a good direction. So what do you think on that ETA? Over?
Well, I think you're going past Cape Reinga that Saturday morning, so I would be past the sort of exposed area. That was normally not going to make much difference coming into New Zealand. I've got a couple more days before I get to 30 south, and from that point I can then make a decision to hold to and delay, or continue on depending on what the models say. From the perspective now, what does it look like when this front comes over 30 degrees south? Over?
Yeah, I'm looking myself at how fast this is going to go through. On Monday, the actual low itself is going to be right over the Coromandel, the Mercury Islands, I would say, is Monday. And looking at Sunday, it's actually to the west of 90 Mile Beach. And winds, if you were to hove to, just say between 30 and 33, your winds would be on Sunday about 23 to 25 knots, according to EC, and they would be about 19 to 20 knots GFS, and they would be gale force with bomb. So you might want to see if you stop at 30. Just a little bit less wind. In other words, what we talked about the other day about just getting on the other side of Norfolk Island, you would have to be on the east side of it, according to the Australians, and you would have to be on the northeast side of it for GFS, and you'd have to be on the east side according to EC. This is Sunday. Saturday, you'd have to be on the south side of Norfolk for all three of those models. So, and of course the wind is a little bit less, just a little bit less up there at the latitude of Norfolk. So, yeah, there's quite a few days left to make that decision. So, what's the ETA for Norfolk? Over.
I haven't looked recently, but I'd say we'd be going past Norfolk tomorrow morning. Over.
Right. Okay. Well, that's going to be a big wait, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be a hard decision to make. This could be quite nasty. Let me see what the seas are doing. Hang on. I'll give this to Trish while I'm trying to find what I'm looking for.
Well, I'm a wuss, so I don't mind a wait rather than be hammered. So that's my thoughts. And I'm sure there'll be some people on Colfie that would probably agree with me. Anyway, we'll be on every night, Peter, so we can sort of just keep looking at what's happening as you chug along. So, yeah, we'll see what the seas are doing now. I'm not sure what he's looking at. Ooh, it doesn't look very nice. I'll keep my comments to myself and pass the microphone.
Alrighty, looking at Thursday, we've got 3 meters out of the south. Looking at Friday, and we'll just give you lunchtime numbers, 2 meters out of the south. Saturday, 4 meters out of the northwest.
Oh, yeah, yucky.
So you can see how it shifted. Looking at Sunday, we're looking at 3 meters out of the west, and Monday, 3.5 to 4 out of the southwest. So, yeah, looking at the original time to get into New Zealand, I think he said was Sunday, and those seas are 3.5 to 4 out of the northwest. So you'll have the wind pushing you, and you'll have those pretty large seas doing the same thing on Sunday. So yeah, it's a hard decision to make. Of course, needless to say,
Things will change.
if you don't do anything, just stop where you are and have a couple of good books, let everything go by, and then see what happens. I'm looking out at Thursday, which is the 24th, see what the wind is doing there. Yeah, it's quite mellow, really. The winds from Norfolk to New Zealand will be out of the north to northeast. That's Thursday. I'm going to go backwards. And looking at Wednesday, the winds will be easterly for the most part. And looking at Tuesday, southerlies, south-southeast maybe. Looking at Monday, south-southwest, and they will be about 25 knots. And looking at Sunday, the winds will be out of the southwest at about 16 knots. And looking at Saturday, northerlies, so pretty much what I gave you earlier. Northerlies 27 and gusts to 37. And that is halfway between Norfolk and Cape Reinga. So, yeah, I'm just looking at if you just stopped where you were, what the worst winds are going to be. I'm going to pass it back to Patricia, if you don't mind, and I'm going to look to see what happens if you just stop now. Hang on.
Well, that would be a hard thing to do. Actually, while I suspect that we have lost most people, but I do have a question, a general question for anybody listening that comes from Whangarei. There is a boat there that has a radio called, it's an American radio, SEAC 222. So quite an old single sideband, and it has a fault. And he's looking for somebody, a good radio techie up there. Most of them are into the newer modern radios and don't know how to fix these sorts of things. So if anybody has a recommendation for a good, probably older person who has dealt with older radios and knows how to fix these sorts of things, could you get in touch with me, please? Our email address is ghradio, all run together, at extra.co.nz. The same as our website, which is www.ghradio.co.nz. So if anyone can help out with a recommendation of a good, I'll call them old-fashioned. It doesn't sound good, does it? But you know what I mean. It's not. This radio is not just take out the motherboard and throw in another one type radio. It is a radio that, and he's got all of the circuit diagrams and everything. So it just needs. It's got a problem unlocking itself when you set a frequency. So if anyone can help me with that, please get back to me. And here's back to David and Colby.
All right, Peter, do you have a pencil? Over. If you stopped right around where you are now, or between where you are now and Norfolk, Wednesday, south 14. These are not gusts now, these are just mean winds. Thursday, south 9. Friday, north 4. Saturday, north 21. Sunday, southwest 2-3. Monday, 1-9.
What direction?
That would be almost southeast. Tuesday, southeast 11. And that's as far as I've gone. And on Tuesday, there's a big high with spread out isobars In the center, it's about a 1028. It's a strong high, but in the middle, there's hardly any wind at all. So it would be a pretty good run from that point on, but it means waiting for quite a long time. So I don't know if you have the patience to do that or the inclination. So over to you.
Roger that. I will have a think about it. I'll probably keep going for 24 hours and see how the models progress, and then make a decision about stopping or continuing, along with the possibility of possibly turning back and heading north if need be.
Yep, roger that. Well, we'll talk again tomorrow night, Peter, and see what things are doing. You might as well, from my perspective anyway, do a bit while you can sail with that wind direction, and then we'll chat again tomorrow night. How are the family doing? Over?
Doing good, yes. My wife, I think my daughter's just returned from England, so she's a bit more concerned about catching up with her daughter than anything else.
All right. Well, just have to have a bit of patience. So, all right. Well, we'll talk tomorrow evening, and just have a pleasant night. It sounds pretty decent conditions at the moment, so it would be hard to stop and forego them. Hang on.
Problems arise when you have something like that, like I have to meet somebody and such and such. It really never fails.
Well, David said, you'll just have to tell the daughter to not worry about that, because that's when problems arise, when there's a pressure on for meeting somebody. Hate to hear that, so you'll just have to, you're the captain. Hi. All right, we will leave you to cogitate and ruminate, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. So we'll leave Colfie there with plenty to think about. Probably nobody else is on frequency, but if there is, please call now. No, nothing heard. So, have a good night, you guys, on Colfie, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, Patricia. Enjoy the new car. Colfie over.
Yep, thank you. We've got friends coming almost now to help us celebrate. Cheers.